You pass a meadow where migrants have made a campsite. It's been trampled to pieces. A few families are fleeing, running as fast as they can back up to the roadside. An enormous bull stretches himself beside some of their squashed supplies.
I'm gonna leave it be.
The bull locks an eye with you and blinks long and slow. The closest thing to a cow threat you've seen in your life. You leave him as spoils.
I'll move on.
A bus roars up on the road behind you, then slows to a crawl at your side. Inside, you can barely see people moving, dancing, swaying. Strings of lights. Strange smoke.
What the, huh?
Want a ride? The driver calls. Before you can open your mouth, a huge hairy hand, like an animal's paw, lands heavy on her shoulder. Not this one, a voice growls, so deep it vibrates your rib cage.
Whoa.
The driver shrugs, leaves you in a cloud of perfumed exhaust.
I guess I'll move on. What a strange bus.
Here's a derelict school building. Shutters nailed shut. Wind-drifted dunes piled against the walls. Broken desks lined up in the basketball court. While you rest on the front porch, the door's open, and someone gives a startled yelp.
Oh, I'm gonna peer inside.
He's an older man, tidy and unshaven, carrying a toolbox in one hand and brandishing a broom in the other. "Don't squat here," he growls. "We're not abandoned."
I'll stand my ground.
He gives you a hard look, but relents and joins you in the shade. "I used to teach here," he says, staring off across the baseball diamond. "Now they just pay me to keep the roof up."
Oh, got it. I'll move on. The old janitor in the abandoned schoolyard.
Two brothers stroll up to you in the street, wearing identical scowls and identical steel-toed boots. One spits in front of you. "Don't stay in town overnight," the other says. "No vagrants after dark."
Huh. I'll sleep rough on the road.
There's no shelter to find on the road, and the night is cold and windy. You doze fitfully under a bush, but at least you're in one piece come morning.
I'll move on.
You weren't supposed to see this. Outside town, two men, identical, stand sentry over a third body half covered with a canvas sheet. "Might as well grab a shovel, being that you're here,"
Same man
the
again?
man in front says. When you hesitate, he makes an appeal to your Christian charity.
I'll make an excuse.
Your excuses don't hold up against the shovel whipped into your side. You collapse near the body. Before the second blow knocks you clean out, you see, inches from your own, the face of the corpse. It's their face.
Whoa. Come too much later.
When you wake up, the body and the brothers are gone. So's your money. It figures.
Move on. Oh, interesting. So, was this the town they told me not to go into? Oh, such a trip.
The bull lounges by this construction site, basking in the bitter sun. Upon his head is a silver crown shrouded in tongues of pale fire. Laborers periodically wander past, seemingly unconcerned. The bull catches your eye. You realize you've been staring.
This is the first time I'm seeing the same things, like back to back. I'm gonna greet the bull.
The bull arches his head languidly away from you. "I'm waiting for my friend," he informs you airily. Now all the laborers are stopping and staring. Feeling reproved, you mosey along.
I'll move on. What is happening?
C.P. Pennebaker.
This guy
The
again.
dandy approaches seconds after you enter the saloon and extends his hand. "Syndicated in 16 papers. Trying to find out what life is honestly like for folks like you out here. Trade you a drink for your story?"
I create a chat.
C.P. Pennebaker takes down your tale in a frenzy. "This is precisely what folks want to hear," he cries. He pumps your hand vigorously on his way out the door,
Oh,
leaving
God.
you with the bill.
Move on. I was wondering why I lost money.
You didn't think the musician would even notice you. He seemed off in his own little world, idly strumming and muttering along in tune. He stops and calls out to you from his perch on the sidewalk. "What's your name?"
I'll tell him.
He winks. "Now watch this." He sings "Baby, Won't You Please Come Home," but with your name in the lyrics. "Now," he says, "if you found that meant something to you, and you want to show some of that appreciation, I sure would be obliged."
I'll tip him.
"I'm mighty obliged. I can see you got the flower prints in your heart." You're about to ask what he means, but his confidential nod suggests that's the end of the conversation. You leave, feeling a little poorer in a lot of ways.
Move on. I have no idea what that means.
"I say, you there!" shouts the boy, sitting on the broken stairs of a sand-swept shack. His imperial affect seems at odds with his shabby clothes and sallow skin. "I shall pay you this enormous, beautiful, shining coin if you would only dance for me."
Okay, I'll dance.
You attempt a solo foxtrot. From the get-go, the boy is clearly unenthused. After 2 repetitions, he throws a rock at you to make you stop. "I didn't like that," he informs you, "but I always honor my debts." He hands you the coin, just as his mother calls him in for supper.
Move on. Thank you. San Francisco.
Your knees make a nasty cracking sound with every step. Wandering this infernal city of steep hills takes its toll. Just over the crest of one hill, you find a stopped truck. Yang Chow, fresh fruit and vegetables. It's laden with colorful produce.
I'll approach.
You know anything about engine? Asks a man, obscured by the raised triangular hood of the truck.
Sorry, I don't.
Ah, never mind. He just slams down the hood of the truck, wisps of smoke leaking out of it. He sits on the edge of the truck bed, and you get a good look at him. He's tall, well-built, fans himself with his Panama hat. Sent my brother over to get a real mechanic, but...
Nod.
Well, I can barely keep this running as it is. Wish I still had a farm. He sighs theatrically, surprising himself with his own easy honesty. Sam Liang, landless, broke truck driver. Dad would have been proud.
What happened to your father?
My old man was, well, he was old. Guys like him didn't get a lot of chances to start a family. He glances around the upwards parabola of the hill, at the placid row houses around you. I was just a kid when it happened. The 06 quake?
Yep.
I can still remember. Barely. You walk along the tracks for an hour, toward the smell of the coal baking in the sun. The train is idling at the station, sputtering, exhausted. A child paces up and down the line of black carriages, clutching a bundle of rags to her chest. She cranes her neck, figuring the height of the cars.
I'll sit and watch.
After a while, the child takes a few steps back from the train and throws her parcel in the air. The package lands atop a pile of coal, but as it tumbles, its contents come unspooled from the linen wrappings. You don't forget it, even after the train carries it away. That little face, not crying.
Huh. Move on. A small corpse on a coal train. Ooh, what's up with that?
An excitable man
Ooh.
in dirty suspenders waves you over to a cave mouth.
Partner, do me a favor, friend. Can you, inspect that cave there? Got 2 bits with your name on them.
Alright then.
The cave interior is nice and cool. There's a whole bear hide, treated and tanned, lying on the ground. Could be a good spot to rest for a time, if not for the human skeleton.
Eesh. Okay, I'll check the bones.
Back of the skull has a hole about the size of a quarter.
Oh, jeez.
You find a slip of journal paper inside the mouth. Normal bones, which Floyd the respectable prospector ain't touched nor seen much, merely stumbled upon during honest business.
Leave the cave.
The man jumps out of his suspenders when he notices your return.
Friend! Oh, gave me an awful scare. Making me think you got lost in there. Hey, you see those bones? How do you think that fella croaked?
Natural causes?
The man slaps his forehead and tongue clicks.
Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, it's a dangerous world we live in. Can't step off your porch without tripping headfirst into a pickaxe. Well, stay safe, friend.
He tips his hat and departs. You feel something behind your ear.
Yeesh. Check
Oh,
here.
it's a shiny silver coin. Great.
Move on. The suspicious prospector.
A Chevy sedan laden with suitcases chugs to a stop beside you. A woman leans out the window. An infant screaming, and two boys are punching each other in the back seat.
Could you drive us for a while? I gotta feed the baby, but we need to keep moving. I could pay you.
Won't be
You
necessary,
grip the
ma'am.
wheel tight as sounds of chaos fill the car. The boys have begun to wrestle in earnest on the Chevy's bench.
Your Honor!
Their mother hisses. Both boys straighten instantly. In the mirror, you see their stricken expressions. The only sound is the baby's soft suckling.
Ask about Your Honor.
You direct the question to the boys in the back, but they don't make a sound. Their eyes are wide and frightened. Patting the infant on the back, their mother chuckles. The boys don't speak another word, even when you part ways down the road.
Okay, move on. Whoa.
The railway was a fast route between two towns, but the oil which promised to make each town rich was never there. The track died fast. The citizens, like the bird, survive on pickings. The vulture gouges at a cow's jawbone, a piece of paper trapped under the skull.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna read that note.
Your motion disturbs the bird, takes off with an air of disdain. The buffalo is long dead. There was no meat left. It lands again, not far across the track. The note tears as you pull it free. I can't wait longer. Ran out of food.
Piece the note together.
Mary, I can't wait longer. Ran out of food, so had to hunt. I hate it. I said we'd leave for a new life, but not one like this. Guess you've changed your mind. If you still want to marry me, I'm going north. I love you.
Yeah, I'll take the path across the track.
The rider did not make it far. Some 200 yards across the track is a body on its
Aye.
back. It stinks. Marks in the dirt indicate someone tried to move it. Its arms are folded over its chest. A once white handkerchief has been used to cover the man's face.
I'm gonna examine the body.
The clothes at the front are bloody and torn where they've been pecked by birds. There's no obvious wound that hasn't been inflicted after death. When you roll it over with your foot, the killing blow is obvious. A shotgun blast to the back at short range.
Jeez. Move on.
They sheepishly, how else, approach the edge of the water and lap at it. A moving cloud stalking the plain on stocky legs. It's a huge flock, and for a long time you see no shepherd, until a figure on a horse crests over a ridge in the hilly terrain.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at him.
He rides a white horse. No, a pale horse. No, actually, a horse the sickly green color of an ashen corpse.
Eee.
And he's a gaunt figure clothed in a ragged cloak. But in spite of that, he seems in good spirits.
Aren't they beautiful?
They are.
My flock. Bigger than it has been in centuries.
He stalks through the mass of beasts, their soft bodies instinctively giving way to the spindly legs of his mount.
Oh, there it goes.
He points with one emaciated toe at a black ram, moving through the flock.
The soul of an evil man.
An evil man, huh?
One of the worst.
It looks pretty harmless, but then again, you suppose we're all pretty harmless in death.
A Spanish fascist. He planned on fleeing to America should the war not turn out his way.
Ooh, what happened?
His side might win the war yet, but a Lincoln Battalion bullet caught up with him first.
Ooh.
He cracks a sardonic grin that makes you queasy.
I thought I'd take the flock to graze here, so he could see the land that loaded the gun.
Wow. Move on. Alright, we got this camp. Let's see who is here. That's a new person, Bertha.
You been in California long?
No, ma'am.
It's been a few years for me, but they still call me Okie. I came west when our farm stopped growing anything but a crop of dust. But when we got here, there were so many others here before us. Maybe you've got less need behind you. I hope so, for your sake. That's a good one. I'll try to remember it when I'm out in the fields. The future? Now this is how I feel about the future these days. You know how sometimes you look out in the horizon and you see the dust clouds shaping up out there, this curved brown wall? You hope it'll blow itself out before it gets to you. But it probably won't. Thank you for sharing that one. I feel a little better now. Love. It can be a luxury. When things
Sure
get
is.
bad, everyone's working so hard just to eat. There's no time to even get to know anyone. It's not work.
I don't know
I
that one.
had trust. The way my mother raised me. Someone comes to your door, you give them a bite to eat and a place to sit down. Made me think the world was full of people who'd do that for you. But when the dust starts blowing off the ground, the hospitality goes away with it. I had to learn no one was going to do that for me, and I couldn't afford to do it for them either. I enjoyed that. You tell those exciting stories very well. Death. Yeah, I've seen death. Back home, we used to have a big cattle barn. Along comes a twister and picks that barn right up a half a mile in the air.
Jeez.
What rains back down is all little pieces of wood with nails in them. That's a good one. I'll try to remember it when I'm out in the fields.
I guess
What's
I do have
fortune
one.
look like? Well, back home the big farmers kept hogs, raised alfalfa, had irrigation. Being rich meant having enough that the dry spells didn't kill you. After we'd been here a while, my husband wanted to go back to Oklahoma, but I knew there was nothing for us there anymore. I said I wasn't going back there to starve to death. So he took the girls and went without me. And now, I'm going my own way. Down the road this way, actually, to the next job, on and on and on. What about you? Where are you going? What are you leaving behind?
Oh, so much.